Hi, today is February 16th, 2005, and it's around noon. I would like to state a few things. I had just had everything. I had a bill at Mixon Storage for $1,300 on part of their accounting inadequacies. Dave Orr, the manager, had stated that there was a problem with their program. They do not keep the money that they have in reserve, and they automatically every 10 days roll over a late fee that and add taxes to it. So realistically speaking, when we have a bill or an invoice for any company, anything in Ontario, where we have the 13% HST, you are supposed to tally up how much it is, and then what you're supposed to do is you add the 13% onto how much it is. Well, Dave Orr and Mixon Storage with program they have takes a line of insurance cost, a line of rental fee, a line of late costs, and insurance. They add on $14.95. They add on the 13%. The rental fee they add on, which is $89.99. They add on 13%. The late fee, which could be anywhere between $25 to $40 depending on, they add on 13%. So what's happening is that you have a 39% tax on a tally of an invoice that's supposed to have 13%. So at every single invoice I've received with late fees on it, there has a 39% tax. That, to my knowledge, is illegal. The whole thing is illegal. I have paid by September $1,428. There was $700 in reserve, but they kept adding late fees on. When you have a credit to an account, I've taken accounting. I'm not good at math, but I've taken accounting, business accounting, hotel restaurant management accounting, and just a general accounting course. So when you have an accounting course, when you have accounting in the columns, you're supposed to add up the columns and then horizontally. But to my knowledge, what you're supposed to be doing is when you have a credit in one line of $700 and you have a debit of $500, then you minus $500 from the $700, and it leaves you with $200, and you carry that over. Well, according to Mixon Storage and according to how they run their program, that doesn't get carried over. I don't know where it is. According to my accounting and according to what I had figured out when they sent me the ledger, they had overcharged me by, like I said, 39% in any given week of in every 10 days of late fee of taxes. They also, and that was done repeatedly, they also had charged me an extra $726. One day when I asked for my invoice, it was $489. The next day, it was $612. How on earth, any one of you out there, how on earth would you, who knows anything about business, anything about basic math, anything about accounting, budgeting, whatever, how on earth would any of you think to yourself, okay, in an overnight, it becomes $200 and some odd dollars extra? That's illegal. Again, accountants are always known to be criminals. So, and if you're an accountant out there, I'm not calling you a criminal. Just be aware of that. That's just the general. Um, that's just the general persona of what I learned when I was in accounting classes and business classes, that you better find yourself a good accountant if you're going to open a business, because I was in a course to learn how to open a business. They said to find yourself a good accountant because accountants will steal your money blind. Well, in this case, so does the management team and the owners. So what had happened is that over the course of with me moving to Etobicoke, which where I am living now, and it's not an Airbnb. For those of you who think it is an Airbnb, it's not. I have a lease. I paid an extra $500 over at the Airbnb because Sandra Long contacted Peel Regional Housing. And when Sandra Long contacted Peel Regional Housing to cause the delay, apparently what she did is she actually told them that I was not going to take the check. I was going to take the check, cash it, and use it to buy and sell. What? Anyone out there? No. Yeah, I think we can guess what she was going to say. So there was a delay of a week. 5 days. 5 days. For me to have a housing crisis considered an emergency client had to wait 5 days and pay an extra $500 that I offered to Bigson Storage, which, by the way, they don't accept partial payments. They're the only company that I've ever heard of over this border, over the other border, online, in any way, shape, or form. When you have a bill or an invoice, they do not accept a payment of, here, let me pay you $500 towards a bill. Someone else I know offered $750. No, they didn't accept it. In fact, they harassed my emergency contacts for money. In fact, there's a couple of things I will state. They sent someone in to where one of my emergency contacts' place of business where they were working to threaten them for money to pay my bill. And at one point, where it clearly states on every invoice when I was working with KGS Research, I asked to set up partial payments. I was told by Dave Moore, we do not accept partial payments, when in fact on every invoice it states you can clearly e-transfer your bill to this number, or you can payment to this number, or to make it more convenient, you could set up pre-authorized payments, where Dave had clearly stated to me over in a phone conversation that he did not. Now, apparently everybody is going to say this is hearsay. Whatever. Like I've said many times before, people believe what they want to believe, and there will always be those who believe who know me, and those who know. People say they don't know me anymore. People say that that only a person with a mental issue or a mental issue would pick up and leave their place where they lived and had a life. What was my life in St. Catharines? Let me explain a few things to you. I will explain every single day of my life in St. Catharines. Monday, rest, because I had spent the previous day traveling. Tuesday, library day. I would go to the library, get DVDs and books. Wednesday, clean or bake. Usually bake. Baking was Wednesday. Thursday, watch movies, read. I would often start my day as I do here in prayer, doing my devotions and reading. Excuse me. Reading my devotional book or doing my devotions. For anyone who thinks I'm lying. I don't know if you can see this. The filtration is Thursday, Friday. Saturday I chose as my chore day. That was the day I would do chores, get things ready for Sunday. I would make sure my clothing was ready. I would clean my apartment basically from top to bottom, every single room, pack my lunch, get everything ready, and order my taxi. Pre-book my taxi. Sunday, up at 5:30, takes a taxi at 7:30, wait for the go bus, sometimes it'll be 8 a.m., end up at Burlington by 9:30, by 9:15, wait till 9:30. If there wasn't any delays, and we all know who would cause delays, wait for the number 40, get off the bus, and be at Renfrew Transway Station at 10:26, 10:30, thereabouts, wait for the 112, and be in Castlefire, Toronto by 10:45, find my seat, go to the restroom and get my tea, and go and sit down and wait for service to begin, say hi to my friends in the church, and speak to them. When I would leave the church at 1:15, go back to Renfrew Transway Station, catch the 122 or the 152, number 40, back to Burlington, Dundas and Highway 407, catch a 3:36 bus down to St. Catharines, arrive in St. Catharines depending on traffic anywhere between 5:30, wait for city transit, arrive back at my apartment at 6:30. That was Sunday. Monday, rest, do what I needed to do, devotions, pray, whatever, and start my whole week over again. Let me enlighten you as to what I do in Mississauga. In Mississauga, I started to learn my way around. In Mississauga, I applied for work. Oh, that's what I was doing as well in St. Catharines. I was applying for work. At some period, I did start to go to different malls and the Penn Center downtown, and I would actually apply for work, and I would stop off once a week at the Employment Service Center, Niagara College Employment Service Center at 483 Church Street, and speak to my worker there, Leanna Massaro, who was actually very, very good in doing my resume. My resume that Ash Smith said was doctored. It was professionally done. Excuse me. And Leanna, she's still there. When I got a job, I did actually bring her over some flowers from the Watering Can, which was one of my favorite florists in downtown St. Catharines. And so those were basically what I did. I did not visit with any friends. Occasionally, Linda Clausen would drop by with some popcorn or an ice cap, or she would call me up and we would go out and have a bonfire, and that's pretty much it. Occasionally, Jay McQuiggan would pop in and stay for a tea, and that would be it. That was never planned. That was just something occasional. The majority of times, I would do things by myself. Mississauga, I looked for a job, as you well know. I started my postings in May as a result of what was happening with the church. And that's what I did. I met a lot of friends in Mississauga. Some of them I'm still in contact with. I'm still in contact with Ushan Faza in Port-au-Prince, Trinidad and Tobago. There's actually a ban on going to Trinidad because there's a lot of violence in there, gang violence. She told me that at Christmas time. Lucien and Glendy Morales, they're back in Tabasco, Mexico. They traveled across this country, and then they're back in Tabasco, Mexico now, growing lemons and oranges in her garden. And I've told you repeatedly about my Nigerian family who's back in Scarborough, who actually I will be committing to seeing on a weekly basis. I actually got a little bit of a where were you yesterday from one of the eldest daughters. You promised you would come. So I didn't go and see them yesterday, but I will be going back to see them. In fact, I'm going to teach them how to take the GO train downtown Toronto to go see the St. Lawrence Market place. I took all the kids over to Scarborough Town Centre and went shopping with them. Gave them $50 each, and I went shopping with them. Now, why didn't I take that money? Five of them. Why didn't I take that money and give it to Mix and Storage? Mix and Storage wouldn't have accepted it. Every time I thought about giving things to Mix and Storage, they wouldn't accept it because it was partial payment. So, anyways, where was I going with this? Oh, right. So, yesterday there was a sale. I was told by Dave, I was actually sent an email by Dave, the manager, either show up tomorrow by 1 p.m. and pay off your bill of $1,346.48, or your things will be auctioned off. I sent the email as well as before that a report to the Niagara Regional Police stating that I wanted to charge Mix and Storage with extortion. There's a lot of things now going on with Mix and Storage. I believe that company will be going under because what they do is they don't accept partial payments, and majority of people, I was stated by Melanie, the owner, was they're either homeless and they have to put their things in storage. They're just not people who are downsizing and putting their things in storage. But a lot of times what they do is they do not accept these partial payments. They double lock, and they do not allow people to come in, and then they take them and they sell their things, which is what happened to me. They broke in to my storage unit. Jeff Yancey broke into my storage unit. Dave stood there and allowed him to do this. And when Jeff Yancey broke into my storage unit, there were people from Kesha Fire Toronto. There was also Lisa Satchel, and as well, Mary Audrey Raycroft was down there. There were some other individuals who were down there. They were searching for things. Sandra Long stated she wanted a picture that she saw in my apartment. That picture was a picture that was given to me by Tracy Giesbrecht. Mary Audrey Raycroft bought a Swarovski crystal angel that I got as a gift when my East Indian mom died, left this earth of cancer. It was an angel, Swarovski crystal angel Christmas ornament. So everything was either, which my movie collection, everything was sold, and if it wasn't sold, it was burned. People will say it's your fault for not paying your bill when they have an accounting issue, and when they have don't accept partial payments, and when they actually charge 39% over the above 13% provincial tax. That's a problem. So, whatever I have is with me. My clothing, most of my clothing, now except for the clothing that Jonas Rugato has. This is where he comes in again. I have sent to 222 Tips a picture of Jonas Rugato, who followed me to the Pimlico Library on Friday when I was there, because I go there to work. That's what I'm doing. I said that I didn't want to pay any extra charges for using utilities here or their Wi-Fi during the day, so what I do is I walk down to the Pimlico Library and I'm working there. So that is what I'm doing. I have my headset on and I'm listening to my REMEC, and I'm checking in with my manager for Coma Space, and I'm on Slack, and I'm keeping in contact with my managers and certain things like that. And so anyways, so I just recently, Jonas Rugato, this is where he comes in. Mary Audrey Raycroft apparently brought some clothing back. As well, Jonas Rugato has been known to steal clothing, bras and panties, as well as Norman Brown, from 340 Escada and from 63 Thomas Street. Clothing that I had given away, clothing that had been left in the garbage, clothing that they stole. That is, Jonas Rugato has decided to take this clothing and to wear it around the office, if not into 272 Atwell. I don't know if there is obviously not church today because of the storm outside. It's a jacket from Guatemala. I was a missionary to Guatemala. I went down there for 3 weeks, 3 months, 3 weeks, a month, a month, a month, a month. Yeah, to help build schools for Mia Refugio with Karen. Her name was Karen. Can't tell you the last name. I had all the pictures in a photo album that has now been burned. Um, Karen Engen, that's her last name. Engen, that was her name. It was a place where they had taken kids from the Guatemala City dump and they housed them in dormitories and they gave them an education. And that's where I bought the coat from. Actually, I bought it in the Guatemala City marketplace, and that's where I bought it. That was kind of my souvenir from when I went to Guatemala. It's all ripped on the sleeves, and the threading is coming out. It was made by a Mayan indigenous woman. That's what they do. That's their type of needlepoint. So that's what it was. So I took that, as well as Mary Edge Raycroft took some other items. I don't know what, besides the picture. I did wish to go to. I went to the Queensway last Sunday, and I was going to get involved in a. While I'm here, I was going to get involved in a connect group, and I was going to get involved in the church. In the church. I had spoken to the associate pastor last week sometime, early last week, probably I think on Tuesday or Wednesday. And when I spoke to the associate pastor, they were very nice. They were elated to have me come in and to become part of the community. And I asked if I could use the library because I wanted to get a Strong's Concordance. And they were very excited about that. They said, no problem, you can use it, not a big deal. Sandra Long contacted a friend of hers at Queensway Church. I was honest with the associate pastors. I said that there was a situation in which I was contacted a lawyer and that I will be taking Ash Smith, Ash Bouvier, and Sandra Long to court for charging them with libel and slander, defamation of character, and I had contacted a lawyer. I told the associates that they should know that coming in. Now Sandra Long contacted them. Reality is, Sandra said, is that she's very angry and vindictive, and she's erratic, and she's a mental patient and spent time in a mental institution, and she deals drugs. Well, I sent a nice email over to the associate pastors over at Queensway telling them exactly what happened, how I was released, and what was going on, how I ended up in SHIP, how I ended up 10 days on the streets, and then I ended up in SHIP, and that there was 2 physicians, 3 crisis workers, a psychiatrist, and a counselor all had diagnosed me with a housing crisis. That's what I was diagnosed with. That I did not have any type of a mental issue, and that I was not, in fact, a drug addict, and that and in fact, when I was pat searched and put in a holding cell over the Detroit border as a result of Ash calling them and telling them that I was taking drugs over the border, the guards had stated that there was a mistake. I was told I was denied entry, and I told them that too. I was denied entry because of the fact that I didn't have enough in my bank account. And that's something they can deny you entry for. Even though I had a return bus ticket and a place to stay, and there was clearly where it was. So, anyway, whatever. It's not whatever. That is libel, that is slander, And I also stated to the associate pastors of the Queensway, where we have two individuals who repeatedly state, I have a job, I'm uprighteous, I'm an asset to my community, I'm a pastor of a church. I said, well, maybe at one point they were. Maybe at one point they were, and maybe they do have a job. But in fact, the reality is I have a job. I'm an asset to the community. I'm a volunteer at the Princess Margaret Foundation. I actually, right now, I'm a volunteer at the, I was a volunteer at Princess Margaret Cancer Foundation for the Walk to Cure Cancer and the Journey to Cure Cancer. And I have actually was accepted as a volunteer for Nankind in Mississauga to help out families whose mothers had cancer. So I've been hired at one job, which Jonas Fugato had actually had broken into my computer. You see, Jonas Fugato, that's what he does. He doesn't really work. If he does work, I don't know what he does. But he has been trying to hack into my computer and trying to affect the camera, trying to affect my Kumo space, trying to affect my cursor, trying to affect the settings on my computer, because I actually know how to get in and to actually do it so that I can fix. The other thing is that Jonas Fugato, when I was going to move August 1st into Etobicoke, had gone in and told the persons over the superintendent of property management company that he was my supervisor, that I was going to be fired for non-attendance of work. And then they took the hose during the day of the big flood, and they what they did is they flooded the units. So that is what I'm doing. He'll face criminal charges. He'll face criminal charges because stalking and fatal attraction with what he's doing is a criminal offense. I tried calling Toronto Regional Police, but it's hard to explain to the Toronto Regional Police that yes, Sandra Long has a video camera in my had placed a video camera on my DVD player, placed a video camera on my VCR, and that's where I was getting the information from. You see, I do have pictures now, and I have been taking pictures of everything. The only way that this is going to be able to be lifted is when, and I hope, the presidents of the church come in. They've been actually traveling, and they've been busy, and they haven't been able to come in. There's a lot being said but about the involvement of the satanic organization with the church. The church as a whole, with John Sfogato and with different other, Melinda Jeffries, Kevin Jeffrey, Jeff Yancey, who's been known to frequent the office as well. Kevin Jeffrey and Jeff Yancey have been known to come up to the office. See, right now it's my word against theirs, right? Not anymore. What has happened is that Jeff Yancey was arrested over at Eglinton Avenue West when I was staying at the Airbnb. I will continue to keep sending in my tips. Our Heavenly Father is opening the doors. Our Heavenly Father is doing that. When I will continue to send out that email went to the associate pastors of the Queensway, as well as an email has gone to a lawyer, as well as it will continue to be. When I said to the police at one point, do you not understand? And will you allow individuals to continuously follow someone, individuals to continuously defame someone's character? Is it going to take to the point where I will leave this earth and where they will end up where they've repeatedly threatened my life. And that, my friends, is the Toronto Police Force. And that is what Sandra Long, Joyce Regato, Lillian Brown, and Norman Brown have repeatedly done.